This is the story about the house Edwin Keith built. That's Edwin, my dad. I think he resembles the movie star James Dean. Edwin Wilfred Keith was born in 1918 in Springfield, Missouri, on a ranch, where his family raised and showed horses, quarter horses, and Tennessee walkers. The house was owned by the Shoddy family. The matriarch was Barbara Shoddy, whose maiden name was Barbara Pfeiffer, Edwin's grandmother. She came from Germany with her parents and sister Sophie in 1881. They arrived in New York on the 4th of July, and the country was in turmoil. President James Garfield had been shot in Washington, D.C. on July 2nd, 1881. The family had come from Bavaria, Germany, where Barbara's dad, Ben Pfeiffer, had worked at a bottling plant where pink pop was made. The family first had a farm in Kansas. Then they tried a farm in Nebraska. Finally, they decided on Springfield, Missouri. Barbara married Carl Shoddy, a candy maker, and the children from that union included Hilda, Gertrude, Louise, and Carl Jr. The family called it the home place. This is a photo of Richard Dickinson and the home place dog, King. This is Uncle Harold, Richard's dad, who married Louise Shoddy. He's caring for the horses. That's Bobby, Louise's other son. This is Hilda Shoddy, Edwin's mother. She married Wilfred Keith when she was 19 and he was 22. Of that union, there were two sons, Edwin and Wendell. And here's Edwin with Gertrude when he was 6 months old. And here's the two boys, Wendell and Edwin. And Wendell and Edwin. When Edwin was about 12, his parents died, and his mom's family took over raising the boys. When it was time for Edwin to go to college, Uncle Shoddy in Mississippi decided that Millsaps was best. Carl Jr., Edwin's uncle, had taken his father's candy business and moved it to Mississippi. Uncle Shoddy was a good businessman and had a successful candy business, as well as starting Masterpiece Coffee Company in Jackson. Here's a visit from Missouri. From left to right is Gertrude, Uncle, Louise, and Edwin. Edwin met and married Matt in 1939 in Brookhaven, Mississippi. From that union were two children, Edwin Jr. and Janet. Eddie Jr. thought he was a soldier. The family went to the home place in Missouri every year. This is great-grandmother Barbara Shoddy. She's holding Janet on her first visit to Missouri. The home place honored culture. Poetry was read at lunch. Classical piano played in the evening. Art and creativity were honored. Barbara Shoddy, the matriarch from Germany, insisted. Barbara was a writer herself, and after she went blind, she wrote a novel in Braille. She influenced everyone, including Janet. This is a photograph of an evening in Missouri. Janet danced and Edwin played. The results? Barbara, Hilda, Gertrude, and Janet became writers. Edwin took classical piano for 12 years and continued the tradition of playing piano in the evenings. Edwin became the editor for the newspaper at Millsaps College. We all called her Tutu. She had no children of her own, but she was everyone's mother. She spent lots of time with Edwin and Wendell when they were growing up. She was like my grandmother. It's not surprising that Edwin decided to build his own house. He built it from scratch. It was very modern. He built Janet's toys. This was her second birthday. He built the chicken house. He drew pictures for us that came from his imagination. He seemed to really be into ceilings. There was a lot of attention to detail. This is Mother on the front porch. We had an unusual dining room. Look at the ceiling. This is Janet's birthday party. And in the house, culture was honored. And as Eddie grew up, he started looking like James Dean. Eddie went to Ole Miss, and while there was called to active duty as James Meredith became the first black to enter the school. The family moved in the early 60s, but the traditions lived on. Amazing, the influence of a good mother. Thanks, Barbara.